This is our first Woman in Tech panel. So a round of applause, please, for the team. And while doing events at the CTO Talks, it's amazing to see how relationships build. I met Tara at an event on July, and we wanted to bring her in and also do this kind of theme, so it's amazing to see how these things flower.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm happy to see familiar faces and some new faces in this community. For those I haven't met yet, I'm Daira with Arcus Nexus. I spend most of my time talking with engineering leaders, so I always enjoy conversations like the one we're gonna have today. Also, since it's still International Women's Month, I have to say I'm super happy to be hosting this panel with women that are leading at this level across AI and engineering. Today we'll get into what this actually looks like inside real teams, what changes as you scale, how AI is impacting day-to-day work, and what you think is coming next. We'll also leave time for audience Q&A at the end. So to get us started, let me introduce our beautiful speakers, starting with Veena. Veena Gowda is a technology executive with over 25 years of experience at the intersection of engineering leadership, product delivery, and organizational transformation. She is currently VP of Engineering Excellence and Economics at Teradata, where she has spent more than a decade enabling the company's evolution from a best-in-class on-prem data platform to a multi-cloud AI and knowledge platform. Excuse me. Veena has led globally distributed teams of more than 250 engineers, that's a lot, across platform engineering, observability, developer tools, and product quality. Prior to Teradata, she held senior technology leadership roles at Connexent and Epstein Architecture and Engineering. And last but not least, in 2025, she was named one of the top 50 women leaders in software development, reflecting her impact as both a technology and people leader. Super excited to have you here, Veena. Tara is a senior director of AI at Oracle Health, focusing on clinical data and electronic health record modernization. She previously worked at Amazon on Alexa initiatives, including Amazon Go at Home Vision. Before Amazon, she designed algorithms for chip design and quality processes at Qualcomm and IBM. Tara holds a PhD in computer science from UCLA and a master's in applied statistics from Texas A&M. Tara, happy to have you as well. And Rocio, senior engineering manager at GitHub, she leads engineering efforts behind GitHub Actions compute infrastructure, ensuring scale and reliability for millions of developers. She advanced open source practices at Intuit and co-chaired Grace Hopper Conference's Open Source Day. She co-founded MR, connecting U.S. small businesses with engineering interns in Peru. Rocio mentors emerging engineers and advocates for Hispanic and Latin representation in tech. That's so cool. Welcome, Rocio. This is an amazing panel. I'm really excited for this group, so let's jump in. Can you all please share in one sentence, what are you building right now, and what's been the hardest part so far?
So I work at GitHub Actions, a compute team. So my team provides the VMs that power all of the GitHub Actions workflows, including Copilot AI's workflows. Right now I'm working on capacity management so that we can have more headroom to support demand spikes and regional outages because we are running at around 90% utilization.
Thanks for having me. So I'm working at Oracle Health right now, building capabilities for modernizing electronic health record. The biggest challenge is really the data. Health data is very diverse, has a lot of difficulty accessing it, has a lot of challenges to conduct, change it and modifying and making it readily available for all the capabilities that we are building. So that's the one big challenge on our side. Yeah.
Working at Teradata, where we are building the AI and knowledge platform. And I think we're working to build agents that will streamline our SDLC so we can get our AI out faster and safer. I think the challenge is not just what the agents will do, but I think it's been for us to keep up with the technology. The AI is moving so fast, the ground is just moving behind us. You pick a technology, it's already outdated tomorrow. So I think striking that balance has been a challenge.
Thank you, interesting. Already very different challenges across the board. So before we jump deeper into AI, I want to step back for a moment and talk about how each of you got here. I'll start with you, Tara. You've worked across hardware, consumer AI at Amazon, and now clinical AI at Oracle. Totally different worlds. What stayed consistent in how you approach building and succeeding in all of them?
Right. So yeah, that's true. I worked on different companies on totally different industries. What really stayed consistent in me in particular is that I've always worked on the side of science and building AI and machine learning model. Even before machine learning was even a thing and even people knew about it, I was already a ML scientist. So for me, it was consistently building really AI capabilities, AI models, machine learning models. So I kind of have been in that, that evolution from the beginning, from the times that regression was basically the tool, and now all the way to building agentic solutions and generative AI. But beyond that, also what really stayed consistent in me is that ability to adopt the new, matter, the expert matter, and build functionalities and creating impact on people's lives. I'm still looking at the projects that I've done even at Amazon, and a lot of them are still on the website. I can see that. So just tracking this impact all along the way that I've been coming, it's really something that I have been proud of, and I've been consistent about that.
Thank you, Tara. Rocio, you went from open source at Intuit to owning infrastructure that millions of developers depend on at GitHub. What did that jump in skills force you to change about how you lead?
Right, so it was an interesting jump. However, before working in open source, so I was working at Intuit, makers of TurboTax, QuickBooks. So my last work at Intuit was creating actually the open source office. I was reporting to the chief architect there, and as a staff engineer, my role was to build this community and build all of the maintainers within GitHub to create the communities that could contribute to open source. However, before that, the previous team was working for TurboTax, which demand, on a technical side, demand a lot of reliability, high risk. April 15 is coming whether you like it or not. So you need to finish your feature work, you need to finish it with quality because all of you need to file your taxes. So that systems thinking and then the community thinking from the open platform role is what pretty much got me to GitHub. Because in GitHub we built all of these systems at scale for the community. So it was really a good complementary experience that I had working for large-scale systems and community. And pretty much what I had to change getting to GitHub is as a manager, because before I was an individual contributor, was that I now needed to create the space for quality, for reliability, availability to be present in my day-to-day Steam work. So going from how do I execute this to how do I make space for my engineers to be good at those items.
Total different perspective, right? Vina, you've led more than 250 people across multiple time zones. When a team gets that big, what's the first thing that usually breaks, and how do you catch it early? If you catch it early, of course.
When a team gets really big, and most important, it's also distributed, then the two things that really break are communication and alignment. Very soon. In small teams, context is free. because you just are in date stand-ups, hallway conversations, small group of Slack channels, but when the team gets big and distributed, all that stops. So the way I have tried to stay ahead of it is to not try to watch all my people, but to watch my managers and my leaders. So if my leaders are inconsistent, they're confused, then you know something is broken in the system. That's your signal. That's your number one signal. And so the health of your team is actually a reflection of the health of your leadership team below you. And a practical tip I can give for anybody who wants to manage this one is, if your calendar starts filling up with a lot of problems that should have been solved 2 levels below me, then I know something is wrong, and that's your early warning system. So I do believe as your teams get large, it's important to invest in that leadership. You gotta grow people, right? You got to grow them deliberately, not just promote them and assume they know everything, but really train them. Make them make decisions, like real decisions. So you will see I don't use the word delegate, I say empower them to make real decisions, right? Drive accountability, you gotta drive accountability in a large team. And the other thing that you also have to work on is create a safe space, where anybody in the team can be very safe to come and tell you the truth. So it's very important that you be the person that they can come and tell the truth. So in a nutshell, accountability is very key when you have a large team. In small teams, peer pressure actually takes care of a lot of the work for managers. But in a large team, if you don't have the managers are not holding the line, then things will drift. And lastly, transparency. When you're in a very distributed team, because you can't see each other, one is sleeping, one is up, transparency is actually the trust that holds a distributed team together. So yeah, I think that's where it comes down to.
Some of the applications need that high level of precision, so it's important to balance it per application properly. And there are other strategies as well, again, from the perspective of a scientist, really, we build AI solutions and models, but we do most of the work automated. However, we will bring human in the loop as a strategy. In particular for medical, basically, capabilities and functionalities, it is very important to get verification. For example, we do have we're building models on top of the electronic health record to modernize the note taking. You as a patient go to the doctor, you will write, or before now, it was always the doctors are in their computer typing, right? And many times, I myself as a patient, I don't like that. I kind of want to get the attention of the doctor all the time, and then many times they miss what I'm saying, or they don't pay proper attention, and even I might actually miss some of the things that they say. So what we are trying to do is that to have them really to make the note taking an AI basically capability. The app is taking the speech, it separates it out, and then take a note and make a basically note out of it. However, at the end, we do always take the verification of the doctor to make sure that nothing is really necessarily dropped out of the the note. That is very important, right? And many times also we do add more of a hierarchical in terms of the importance, right? Did I capture these 5 things as the most important? And then the next hierarchy and the next hierarchy, the standard must have, nice to have, and sure we can have it or not. That's basically the taking the human in the loop and the expertise of the human, working alongside with these agents, right? We are building also platforms that agents work from different medical perspective to kind of come on the platform and do collaboration with each other, and we do have all this MCP and other basically protocols running on. So what we do also is that to get verification at different steps of the process and pipeline that we have. So yeah, generally these are basically the main strategies that we do to kind of make sure that functions that we are making and the solutions that we are making are precise when they need to be precise. And then when they don't need to be that precise, they can be have more recall and then have more coverage and less precision is allowed, or like since taking the expert matter, and expert basically verification is more costly, we can kind of make that loose for the applications that do not need this level of precision.
Awesome, thank you. Rocio, your engineers use AI to write the code that powers AI-driven developer tools. How has that changed the standards you expect from your team? Or how do you evaluate what they deliver?
So definitely the standard and the bar has changed for them as engineers, but I don't think it has changed for me, as in, okay, well, you're writing code and you're getting help by AI to write that code. I still expect that you are going to be running the tests, that you're going to be updating monitors and alerts, that you're going to be testing in pre-prod environments. So there is still a lot of the validation and checks that us as engineers need to do that I expect from my teams, right? So in a way, a lot has changed, but as leadership for us, we still have sort of like the same expectations when it comes to technical issues. I would think that what I expect from my engineers as they use AI is that they actually focus on how do you always scale code, and how can code fail, to have that notion of, okay, how do I analyze this code and how can it fail in a scalable system, in a distributed system? And something that for sure I can say that has changed is the speed at which we can tackle problems now. So as an example, I recently had an engineer that was working on a feature, but was also having a few AI workflows running dependency analysis for monitoring gaps once those dependencies were found, PRs were created in order to fix the gaps in those alerts. So all these happened on the side while he was focusing on feature developing, and these workflows just keep running. And at the end, he just showed me a couple of reports. Hey, this is what AI said. These are the PRs it created. I reviewed them. They were accurate, or this one wasn't accurate, so I closed them. And a lot of that was done, at the same time. So I think I do expect more speed for straightforward tasks, while maintaining the same quality for the standards that I expect for my engineers.
Awesome. I mean, for me, it's crazy that engineers uses AI to build AI tools, but happy to still needing a human in the loop, right?
We actually build GitHub with GitHub Actions. So yeah, we use our tooling for sure.
Awesome. So this is for all of you. As you've moved into senior leadership, what's the thing or things you had to stop doing as a technologist, and how did you make peace with that?
As I was thinking about that question, the first thing that came to my mind was just not as a leader, as a technical leader, but as a woman technical leader. I used to have to force myself to try and be the first one to speak, to always say something in a meeting, to always contribute. However, now, as leader, I need to enable that communication from my engineers. I need to make room, and I need to make the right environment for everyone to have a voice, especially for, as is my passion for women in tech as well. So I think that has changed from having that urge to be like, oh, I gotta say something, to let me see what my engineers say. Let me hear the different voices. Let me prompt for everyone to participate. So I think that's the one for me.
Yeah, so for me, definitely like moving to management brought a lot of more challenges, and that are not technical. There are technical and non-technical, right? You have to hear like people talking about their family and their challenges about that, and all sorts of things. And then like people break down because they cannot handle multiple things at a time. So there are like all sorts of additional challenges on top of the technical challenges that you have, right? I think Mina actually mentioned a very good point in her first answer about the empowering people, right? I, as a technologist, when I was a IC myself, I used to work and write code or build like a function or build a model or whatever I did. I used to be deep into like the details, really, right? When you move up, you need to really increase your breadth and kind of have some depth, but but like see, like one level, two level above really. You don't need to know every detail about like, this parameter or this thing or that thing, but you need to know the overall direction, what's the impact, how is it really gonna change the solution if the employee goes this path or that path. So you need to basically make decisions at a higher level, right? I've heard actually this term from one of the mentors that I had, was that you need to become a general manager, not just that worker that works on a specific thing at your home, right? But the general manager, how he or she basically makes all the construction really going on like properly on different parts, and make sure that everything is working. So once you move to leadership, you need to kind of improve your skills on the people management, and both managing down and up, right? Managing up in the sense that managing the expectations right, represent your team to the higher ups properly, get enough exposure for every single person, have people's careers really as important as you. I mean, everybody has a career, from that junior basically person that just got hired or even an intern, all the way to people on the top. Everybody has a career, which is important. So you need, as a manager and senior manager, director, senior director, and going like up, you need to kind of find the right balance that, how much detail you want to get, how much you want to directionally help people, like, get the basically, or form the direction, and how much basically you spend on the people management and career development of people. And by career development, I don't mean promotion only. That's one basic aspect of career development. Career development is both horizontally and vertically. And to be honest with you, horizontally is more important because it gives you more opportunities, and it makes you really, or equip you with like, your future more than just like a one single promotion vertically at a point of time. So basically creating opportunities all along for everybody, every single person in the team at any level, and making sure that they kind of like, on the right path to move forward. So that's actually was the challenge for me to really move from a technologist to actually a manager and senior manager level.
I think for me, as I moved from being a technology engineer to a leadership, first I had to unlearn something. And that was the instinct to jump in and solve the technical problem myself. Then I had to learn something else, which was to ask the right questions so I can grow my people. And I needed to focus my energy somewhere. So I focused my energy on reinforcing the why behind what we're doing for the team. I figured out that if I can clearly explain the why, the people will get creative and they will do the work. And then how did I make peace with myself? I reframed what it means to be a technologist at my level, right? So I'm still technical. I'm just different. I use my technical knowledge to ask the right questions, to sense if something is not right, to spot if my team is overcomplicating something or underestimating a risk. At the end of the day, technologists are also problem solvers. You just need to find a new problem to solve. And my problem that I focused on was growing a whole team of problem solvers.
Yeah. Awesome. I think a lot of people in the room are feeling these responses, right? I know someone in the back that calls this process of moving from a tech role to leadership, moving to the dark side. So, yeah, not looking at you, Umberto, because it's hard. Vina, you build a platform layer that other teams' AI runs on. What do teams consistently underestimate about the infrastructure layer they're building on?
So I think in the AI world, everybody's obsessed with models. I get it, models are exciting, but AI initiatives go and die on AI platforms. And I'll tell you the 4 areas on why they don't, because people ignore infrastructure and platform layer thinking when they're thinking about building AI stuff. Number 1 is scalability. It'll look great in dev, it'll work great in dev, it'll impress everybody in the demo, and then it'll go to production and die at scale, right? So, and the gap between prototype and production is never a model issue. It actually is a platform issue. So making sure you have picked the right platform is very important. The number 2 one is data quality, right? Everybody, again, we spend enormous energy on the models and bringing all of those pipelines, but we forget that the context we are feeding to it should be of good quality. If not, it's like garbage in, garbage out, right? Even the sophisticated models with the bad data is just going to give you Bad answers very fast, but very confidently, right, to do that. Third one is security, right? Security is non-negotiable. Even if you think, I'll get to it, especially if you're a startup, right? It's non-negotiable, and it costs you more to do it later. So you gotta bake it in very early. And the last one is observability, right? You can't let your AI just run loose by itself in production. You gotta have visibility to that thing. Otherwise, you're just gonna let it run and have hope, and we all know what happens when you depend on hope. Again, all these abilities, and I think Rosio mentioned that too, right? All these abilities are very, very important. So for platform and infrastructure. And I know sometimes people get confused with infrastructure and platform, but infrastructure and platform are different. Platform is actually the layer on which everybody else is betting their AI stuff on, right? So whether you're choosing to build a platform or you're trying to buy a platform, do it very thoughtfully. Take care of the utilities, look for the utilities.
Thank you, Veena. You've all had a front row seat to the current AI wave. What's the thing that surprised you? Not the use case you're building, but how AI has actually changed the way you and your team work day to day.
Yeah, I have been working in AI for a long, long time, right? So, I mean, it still surprises me, specifically these very recent years, that the speed that is going through, right? She mentioned, like, you build something in a few, maybe weeks or so, that becomes obsolete, so you need to basically move on, right? And then also, it is not really necessarily dependent on a specific technology, but rather, it is more generic. You can basically create an impact with the newer technology going forward. And overall, I think like the more people get used to the fact that this is our world, it is very dynamic, the easier it is on you. I've seen actually this in people. I mean, I had my own, the reservations also. It's not easy to keep up with the pace. But if you don't keep up with the pace, you would be, left behind. So it is to your own benefit to kind of accept the fact that, the technology is going to basically develop really fast, and it's going to move to the next and next and next. At some point, it will plateau or become less of like this, change. But that is our world right now. So the easier it is on you really to kind of like, find more opportunities, making sure that your solutions are adopted and create like impact that you really need in your own career, as well as to the benefit of the place that you work at.
Okay, so something that was sort of like a quirk for me and for some of engineers maybe, is that I rather write 1,000 lines of code rather than an executive article or an executive summary. Oh gosh, don't make me compose, don't make me write. Especially for me, because of I'm originally from Peru, so English is not my first language. It would take me so long to write, a simple email, something. At GitHub, we are big on team posts, which is pretty much just like short of magazine articles to highlight big feature work and to highlight releases. So engineers my team and me, we used to, dread those. But now with AI, we just do that without even like looking at it, or just in the blink of an eye, right? Like you're either recording a meeting and boom, it has the summary and there goes the executive summary. Or you either have, Copilot from your own code space say, okay, what have I worked on? What did I solve? What are the metrics? Write a team post. Voila. So all of that has just made my life so much easier. I can actually focus on real problems and not like on silly things like writing, and composing. So that was definitely surprising for me, like something different that you don't think that, you obviously think that, oh, it's going to help me write code and all of these grand things, but even the little things are just amazing. Mm-hmm.
I think for me, when the AI came around, I wasn't surprised at how we changed the productivity of our engineers. I expected it. I drove the program, so I expected that. But I think what was surprising for me was when I started using it myself. I started using it as a thought partner rather than just like a tool. And it started challenging me for things that I had stopped questioning, some of the assumptions, because I worked 2 decades, already know how to do. Started showcasing some of those things. The other thing with the AI is it will give you better feedback than any human will ever give you. No hedging, no politics. It's just going to tell you like it is. It's very, very refreshing, and it'll help you grow. So I think that's one other important thing. I see a lot of kids and students here, so I do want to make one more comment, which is, what it's doing is the strong engineers are getting stronger and the weaker foundations are falling behind. So I see 2 kinds of people, right? The people who are getting the most value are not the brightest. They're not the brightest kids. The ones who can make that human judgment and know when the AI is right to accept it and when to push back, they are the ones that are getting the most value. But who is moving very fast is the people who can unlearn and learn, relearn, and move at the pace of AI. So I would say that AI is not only changing how we work, it's actually changing what good looks like.
That's interesting. I think we're also more present. Like what you say about like when you're having a meeting and you already have the note takers there. Like you're more present when having a conversation with people. So now, not just how AI has already changed your work, but how do you think it will keep changing it? What does your job look like in 3 to 5 years? That's to all of you.
Okay, I guess
you
I
can
will
start.
go. In 3 to 5 years, I think there's going to be like 4 big changes that I predict from my work perspective. Actually, I want to make a quote too. Kat Wu, she is the head of product for Cloud Code at Anthropic. She recently published an article. You should go read it. It's very interesting. I think she very well captures where the future is going from an engineering perspective. Before AI, it was product management, design, engineering. Everything is structured, follows one after the other, clean check boxes, right? It's very, very separated. But now it's become a Venn diagram of product design and engineering. It's become a Venn diagram. The boundaries are melting. AI is the connective tissue. I think that's where we are headed. When I think about what is going to be the future, I actually look at 4 things that I predict are going to be done. I may not be here, but we will see my predictions come true. One is quality will actually become predictive. AI is going to see things and find things even that before we even humans can see it. The second thing is security will not be like quarterly audits or whatever that we do. It will become continuous enforcement. Third thing would be developer experience is going to become personal. AI is going to be very personal for every single engineer and adapt to what they do. The last thing is like engineering economics is going to become real time. Today, when you think about costs and margins, it's all quarterly, monthly, finance, everybody's looking at it that way. I believe it's going to become real time, it's going to be live. You're going to know what you're investing, you're going to know what is providing you value, what's not providing you, where is your money burning. These things are going to be coming your way. So my role, when I think about my role, no longer will be managing all these functions, like the quality and all of those things, right? So you are going to be setting more about setting excellence, setting up a structure where AI is doing all the heavy lifting and humans are making decisions that matter.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think in the future, in the next 3 to 5 years, what will happen is that a lot of routine job will be done by AI. A lot of insights analysis will be done by AI. AI will give you unfiltered, basically, opinions and insights, and humans will make decisions at a higher level. So everybody will work at a level higher. The same way that the developer experience has already changed, right? Right now, we are really don't write code. We tell the AI what to write for us, and it will do that for us. We just do the final verification. The role of human will always be there, still be there, and always will be there. As like a really companion, like there will be a AI and human working together, hand to hand. Like we work hand to hand with the AI. We have like an assistant at our disposal all the time. Like do this for us, do that for us. So it will be really, actually, in my opinion, it will be much more enjoyable. The burden on the humans will be less. And maybe if not in 3 years, in 5 years, but definitely in over time it will happen. And as I said, the more we get used to it and accept it, that's easier on us to kind of come on this wagon of adopting the AI and making it really work toward our goals. So that is, I think, what will happen. I think there will be all these agentic solutions will really become like assistants to the humans, and we will basically make like higher level decisions than the more routine or those kind of decisions. And in my opinion, system level engineering will become like an asset and value, and writing or developing code or more becomes like more of a less and less valuable for humans, and will be done by AI. There will be still like some verification left. But other than that, I think system level engineering and building systems and pipelines and solutions become much more like at a higher level.
Oh my gosh, what can I say about after all of that? So obviously everything is true. I agree with all of that. I don't know, maybe I can give like a practical example of what I think will actually change in my role. So lately I've been focusing a lot of spending time on operational excellence and monitoring my hot resources across all of my dependencies, just because we are reaching a high level utilization and growth. So as my engineers have been working on these problems and the solutions that are coming up, and how they're using AI to, like I mentioned before, just like generate a report of all the dependencies and come up with suggestions on how to improve the HUD resourcing or utilization level, et cetera, and AI coming up with PRs to fix monitors and all of that. I think that the disciplines around software engineer, which one of them is operations and infrastructure, are going to be really well managed by AI, and in turn, all of that is going to give us a lot more acceleration into building features, and apps are going to be just generating new features way more quicker, because all of these burden that us as technologies have will be just solved automatically by AI. So, just in general, just more rapid development of features and definitely making our life easier. So I look forward to just not how AI will improve at work, but also at my life, and how much more free time I hope we have. So we'll see.
It will be interesting to see how many of these predictions actually happen, or when. We will all be like, oh, I was at the panel when they say that. Okay, so where do you still insist on keeping a human in the loop? And where have you started letting AI run on its own?
I think Rosario already covered, we use GitHub. So, right, where I think we're okay with is the AI can go, it can create a branch, it can code, it can build, it can test, it can do a PR pull request, right? But we are insisting that the human review it. That's where we draw a line. And why do we do that? Because code that ships has consequences for our customers. We are almost a 50-year-old company, right? We have built trust for 50 years. So for us, that is very important that it has good quality, good security, all of those things. Because AI can generate it, but humans are still accountable for it in the world that we live in. So we do want that. Where we are okay to live some of these things is things like monitoring, because you don't need a human to watch every signal. We only need humans to fix some of the good signals. So that's where we'll be more flexible.
Yeah, that's a good point. I agree with that. And on top of that, I think I'm working on healthcare, so again, like a area that trust is extremely important, right? One bad prediction, and it's completely difficult, right? So I agree with that. I can't answer this. We still keep the humans in the loop for verification to make sure that the diagnosis or the response of the models or solutions are correct. And even more than just a human in the loop, in the sense that internal, basically developers, but rather even experts, medical experts in the field that I'm working on, to weigh on the basic response. But also on top of that, I think one thing that we would keep the AI development be in the hands of AI is that platforms that are agentic, meaning that different agents come over to make like a response ready, they can do the communications, and final basic response can be verified by human. But the chain of getting the communication when the customer makes a request on the platform, all the way to which agents call which agents and get a response and compose response back, that agentic basically pipeline can also stay at the hand of agents really. Obviously it has to be tested, but once it is working properly, that can also be an area that the agents can basically create communication with each other and run the show, right? Yeah, that's what I think.
It's the last question before moving to the audience Q&A. One sentence each. What's your advice for anyone, engineer, leader, founder, etc., trying to succeed in the age of AI?
One sentence is that's all. No, that's okay. Right. For anybody who's trying to succeed in the age of AI, it's not somebody who knows the most who's going to win. It used to be in the previous, but not anymore. Right. It's the people who can master co-intelligence. Co-intelligence is human intelligence, where they can take the human judgment and combine it with AI capabilities better than anybody else can. Then that's when you're going to win. So my advice to anybody who's in the AI world is build AI that amplifies human potential. You will win.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll add also this, that create a niche for yourself. Become expert on one area. then you will be wanted by a lot of places, right? And then, but also keep a tap on like, more of a broader, AI, right? What is the direction here, there? So kind of keep the balance between how you get deep versus you get like broad. But I think it's very important for every person to sell themselves as like a subject matter expert on a specific area, and then they do have like also more general knowledge. But just for humans to kind of keep up with the pace and not fall behind, I think it's very important to have your like a very deep expertise on like an area.
So I think two pieces of advice. One is to experiment often, fail often, succeed often, but always keep, upgrading to the next big thing and trying on the next big thing. And then if you're a technologist, definitely don't focus just on, obviously, on the fact that, oh my gosh, the AI is going to replace coding and software engineering, but maybe focus on, instead of trying to understand how a problem works, try to think about how a problem or a solution scales. How is it available? How is it reliable? Because that design system thinking is what we actually need to, support an AI-driven development.
My one sentence advice will be use AI. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. This has been a really good conversation, and I really appreciate you sharing your experiences. And thank you all for being here. Let's give them a round of applause, please. So let's open it up for audience questions. Who wants to start?
All right, how's this? Thank you again, that was really awesome. Do you think that the technological singularity is a real fear? Singularity.
So you mean like?
Yeah, like AI taking over.
Is real? Yeah, sure, it is real. It is taking over, but AI can do many things, right? It's not by its nature. There are a lot of applications. There are a lot of basically topics within AI. Even before the generative AI, not every AI scientist knows everything. People had like a specialties. So I think, yes, in the future, in my opinion, again, I'll repeat this, but I think AI will become our assistant. We will have AI everywhere. But it's just that, depends on the area that you're working on and basically the topic that you're working on. There are certain tools within that AI that's more relevant to you versus another person that has like other set of tools.
So, Tara, this one's for you. I'm also a health tech person. A couple weeks ago, the big HIMSS conference, the Health Information Management Conference, happened in Vegas. Every year, there's a different theme. This year, the common theme that I saw when I went to the booths was all about agentic AI. If you had a crystal ball, what do you think we'll see at HIMSS next year?
Okay. So I guess we will, I think this agentic AI and overall generative AI and agentic AI will develop more and more. I've heard that MCP is gonna be, become obsolete or morphed into newer basically solutions, the model control protocol. And I think people will come with a lot more use cases for agentic AI. I think it will also settle. I think there is a little bit of hype around it, like we can do everything. That's not gonna be the case. I think there will be more settled, more refined, really set of use cases that will basically show or showcase agentic AI solutions, but in a manner that it's really meaningful and impactful. That's what I think.
I'd like to make a comment. If we're talking about healthcare, I hope all this AI is going to get my doctor's appointment quicker.
And not have to wait, right?
Yes.
Hi, thanks for inviting us to this, for allowing men and your women in tech. So I'll preface it with, at my work, AI, it's getting way better thanks to how much data and documentation we're producing. Like Confluence and MD files are taking the center stage because the better we're at it, the better the AI is at assisting us. But like my entrepreneurial side project, part of the brain, things like, well, if I want to start something on the side on my own without all this context, like, what chance do I have with competing with that infrastructure? And my question is, like, if you guys were to work on your own personal side project, what would you choose?
Can you please work on this if I tell you? So I think the biggest challenge that I face right now is, for example, we use Slack, and then we had Google Drive, and we have Confluence, so and we use Zoom. So right now, yes, AI is great on each one of those, but I don't have an overarching, context repository that can just absorb all the data and summarize everything. So if I had one wish, it would be that, to just consolidate everything that I can give context to. I know that, for example, Teams has, Microsoft Teams has access to chats, to files, to meeting recordings, to the SharePoint documents, all of that. So that's a very good example of having everything in one place, but a lot of companies just don't have that. So they also don't follow me around while I talk to my engineers if I'm in an office or whatever. So I think it would be something great to just figure out and to have something that consolidates everything, even what I'm talking, maybe even what I'm thinking. I don't know, that'd be great too.
So for a side job or side project, I don't have like a specific recommendation, but I'll do this recommendation to you that choose things that are meaningful to you, impactful to you, and it's very important to you. And not every side project needs to be necessarily AI. AI is really a vertical thing. It's not like I'm building like AI solution. I'm building AI solution for a specific goal or target, right? And it can be applied to any product, it can be applied to any basically area, right? I'll give you an example of I used to work at Amazon. Amazon in the first years, it was really a book delivery company. It had nothing to do with AI, right? It kind of become bigger. Any I don't know, food delivery or book delivery or whatever you have. After some time you gather data, there is more insight. You can build model for your inventory, you can build model for your basically day-to-day operation. So it kind of, you use AI as a vertical, right? So side projects also like that. You do things that you really like and it is in your interest and you enjoy, because in my opinion, side project is something that you kind of do it on your own, extra time you put on it. It is you need to have that passion that's even more beyond your day job, because at least for your day job you get paid, for your side project you don't get paid, right? So you need to have a passion around it that, in my opinion, you do whatever you like, but utilize AI as a vertical tool toward, moving your project ahead, right? And then you mentioned about at work you have access to so many documents, so much more information versus a side project. And in my opinion, foundational models really solve that problem. Foundational models now have access to, they're trained on the corpus, right? The whole corpus, which is really huge and big. So if you build a specific use case, fine-tune a model or prompt engineering a model, a foundational model, you will get that, the whole knowledge as a learned really experience, as, weights and parameters, and then you will adjust it or adapt it to your own use case. So I don't think so we need really to build foundational models, not at the scale as a side project. That just doesn't make sense. You just can utilize what is existing foundational models and basically build on top of that and use it toward your project, whatever it is.
But are you guys going to stay at networking, right? We're gonna have them still. So if you guys have any questions, they'll be here.
Hello, I'm a student. I'm a senior here at San Diego State, and a large conversation that has been going around recently is that AI is going to take all of our entry-level jobs and automize kind of the tasks that we would be performing. So I guess my question for you guys is, what is your thoughts on that discourse? And then also, what kind of skills and tools would you recommend that students start learning now to differentiate ourselves and make ourselves valuable within the market?
Yeah, I think if you're coming out of a student, my son's he's doing his master's right now, so he's in the same place trying to figure out, okay, what happens next, kind of deal. My advice would be, I think, I don't know, I think Dara said it, right? Use it. So start using it and start trying to figure out, right, you need to be an expert. We are hiring a large amount of people in different processes of the world in our company, and one of the things we do is AI test, right? So we're looking to see, do people know how to use the tool? Like I told you before, you don't have to be an expert in anything. You need to be able to use the tool. There is a large population of people who are also going to be retiring, so it's not like you won't have a job. So just use it. Yeah.
So I actually have a problem with this sentence that entry-level jobs gonna go away. Sure, they're gonna go away, okay? But can the entry be upscale to the next level? You can start from next level, right? As she said, use it, right? So at some point in life, old days, like people used to wash their clothing, right, themselves. The washing machines came, right? That job is out. But now people are using it. People are building better and better equipment, right? So the point is that, sure, entry-level jobs in the sense that, I'll code, write like, one sentence things and, like a small, function or whatever, that would go away. But you can use AI toward that, right? And use your skill and time in building better solutions, more advanced solutions, systems. So more like complicated and complex pipelines to do more interesting things. So yeah, the entry level of today will go away, but the entry of the future will be one level higher than the entry level of now, right?
Thank you.
That was a really good example. I really love that. What else? Again, it's not fun to go last, but I obviously agree with everything. And I think I mentioned it before, right? You think you need to focus on not just how to solve a problem, but again, how does a problem scale? How does it have availability? And I think it goes back to what Tara said about, yeah, you're gonna have to uplift your knowledge of what an entry-level role is. And I also don't think that, entry levels are going to go away, because it needs to start somewhere, right? Like, you become an engineer and you know how to solve things and you know how to scale things because you start somewhere. So I really don't think that we should worry about, not having a job after school. There will always be there, but yeah, use it.